Hello, this is Serena back with another discussion for Mental Health Awareness Month. Today we'll be discussing mental illness symptoms versus good and evil. So this discussion comes up a lot when we have active shooter attacks or terrorist attacks, and the discussion is if that person was experiencing a mental illness or did they just have really bad judgment and bad thoughts. So we'll discuss anxiety. Anxiety is when you're constantly on edge, you're teed up all the time. It could be generalized for your thoughts, your feelings, the way people perceive you, or it could be linked to you don't like to be in confined areas, you don't like to be in crowded areas, you don't like to speak in front of people, things like that of that nature. You have depression. It's a chemical imbalance. You have triggers for it. So you could experience birth or miscarriage, and that will lead you to having like postpartum depression, or it could be like clinical depression, and you have good days and you have bad days, but mostly they're bad. And stress, it is linked to issues like your life events. You are stressed about an event, a deadline, an assignment, your job, your finances, relationship, etc. So those issues would have you to see a therapist or counselor, be on some type of medication, or you're just trying to feel your way through it, think your way through it, and you don't necessarily want to seek out revenge or have a plan for anything, because people that experience mental health issues have received a lot of flack because they don't want to be seen as crazy, or they don't want to come out and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, because someone will be like, oh, well, if I make you mad, will you shoot me or something. So the discussion of good and evil barely makes the news, because we forget that good and evil just doesn't exist on a cartoon. You don't have a villain and you don't have a hero. But in real life, people make bad decisions, people have bad thoughts and bad intentions, and they can very well, create this plan to go out and do something like that. So they don't necessarily have to be ill, they don't necessarily have to be suffering from anything, but a lot of people who experience those mental health issues are looked at as being crazy because people don't understand what it is they're going through. They don't understand the symptoms. They don't understand the causality of it all. So it's easier to say, oh, that person was crazy, or that person has a mental health disorder, and we didn't see it, but this happened. So when we continue to have these discussions about violent crimes like this, we need to keep in mind that people that actually do suffer from these mental health disorders do not feel comfortable disclosing that they do have disorders because of the conversations around active shooting, terrorist attacks, and crime in general. So let's do better of educating ourselves and spreading awareness, because these things are really harmful, and those who actually suffer do not get the treatment that they deserve. They do not get the attention that they need, because we stigmatize it and link it to bad decisions and bad intentions. So let's do better, you guys. Thanks.